on their future films. Films. Sequels suck. Sequels suck. Sequels suck.
Welcome, movie fans. This is Sequels Suck, the podcast that loves all things sequels, remakes, and reboots, I guess. We are back for 2023. It is a brand new year. And of course, there is umpteen sequels already in the works, been announced. There are sequels that have been announced for movies that haven't even finished playing at the cinema yet. And it is a very interesting year for sequels because unlike the past 10 years, the slate is not stacked to the brim with men and women in spandex. Things are getting a little diverse this year. So we wanted to jump on, say Happy New Year to everyone, and have a bit of a chat about what's been in 2022, what's coming in 2023 to get ourselves all pumped and ready for the year in sequels. Michelle, Cable, Happy New Year. How are we doing, guys? We good?
No more men in spandex? No, now I'm just sad.
Some women in spandex.
No,
but
men, I said not women.
hey, there's a little bit of spandex in all of us. Do we have a good New Year's, guys? Are we feeling happy? We feeling pumped for the new year?
Yeah, I was just saying to Michelle off air, it actually feels weird that we did a recording not so long ago, but it feels like a long time ago already.
We haven't
So I
been
was
all
like,
together.
I feel like I miss the tribe, and great to be back.
It's good. It's good to be back on mic. And it is like it's a crazy slate of stuff that is coming out. There's stuff that is like we have sequels announced through to the end of 2025 at the moment, and not like TBD. Maybe like studios have said you're getting this December 2025. Yeah, it is happening. We've locked it in. Now, that doesn't always mean it's going to happen. We know studios can get a bit close and be like, oh, we kind of jumped the gun. But there's also a bunch of stuff that I want to talk about in this episode that I genuinely had no idea existed and is coming out like next month. Sequels to like quite big studio pictures.
Oh, you didn't know Scream 6 was coming out?
I had no idea there was going to be a Scream 6. That really caught me by
it
surprise.
died. You thought it died with Dewey, and that was it.
Look, they did it. You know, they did exactly what David Gordon Green did with Halloween 2018. They came back to tell the very last chapter of the story, and they told it, and it made a lot of money. So, of course, the studios never wanted to touch the property again because that's how they like to do things. That is a good place to jump off, though, because as of recording, we have just gotten the first official, not teaser, but actual trailer of Scream 6, which is I think, all three of ours, one of our most hyped movies for 2023, even though we have varying levels of opinion on Scream 5. The title I think is the first thing that we got that is it's Scream 6 in Roman numerals, and then we're in New York, new rules apparently.
Via Montreal. Remember?
I'm sure you guys have watched and rewatched the trailer a lot more than I have at this point. How are you feeling? What's your early vibes on where Scream 6 is going to take us? Are you feeling good? Oh, silence is never.
You can say words, Michelle.
Radio silence, both in
you.
directors and in both radio silence in directors.
I was going to let Michelle go.
Michelle, how are you feeling about
okay.
New York New Rules?
I'm very excited.
Yeah, Michelle, go.
I've watched all the breakdowns on the YouTubes. Already know all the Easter eggs and been looking at all the theories, so I'm very excited for it.
Are you feeling confident on the survival of quote unquote legacy characters this time around? Because we're kind of, I mean, you could count Kirby if you wanted to, but really, if we're talking OG, we're down to one because of contract disputes. No Nev, because of horrible script writing decisions. No David Arquette. So we got Courtney Cox. How you feeling about when the credits roll? Is Gail Weathers in a body bag? What's your early vibe?
I think Gail survives, but I reckon Tara is done. Like, General Ortega has just blown up in this past year. Like, they can't afford to get her back, or she's just going to be too busy off doing Wednesday season 2 and everything else.
I feel like it's going to be the flip side. I feel like she's the face now. It's exactly what they wanted. Like, if Nev Campbell is done, if she's out, you need a face on the poster. And if you've got a surviving character from Scream 5, who is now one of the biggest sort of stars of the moment, thanks to Wednesday, the TV show, man, pay the bill and keep her, because you learnt when you don't pay, the stars walk. So maybe they learn a lesson. I don't know. What do you think, Cable? You've overanalyzed, I'm sure.
No, I don't think so. I've probably watched it maybe 4 or 5 times, but I was saying to Michelle off air, and
for comparison, I've watched it 1.5 times. Yeah. I was like, all right, I get it.
I think I've seen it more than 5. So.
And the half was by accident.
No, I was saying to Michelle off air, and I've said it to a couple of other friends when we've talked about it. I still feel like these trailers, they just show us that just a bit too much. Like, I think the Gale call, great. Show us a little bit of that, but then cut it. Just give us a little bit of a taste. The same with the convenience store scene. I felt like they gave us a little bit too much of that, and then the rest was okay. It was just tick, 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 smash cut. Apart from, I think the big reveal and the biggest talking point right now, and I know why they put it there because it's generated talk and chatter and trending on Twitter and all that sort of stuff, is the museum slash shrine scene shots, which
The ghost cave is what we're trying
personally,
to
I
call
wish
it.
that was kept totally secret for the audience. Yeah, I think that would have been awesome as a reveal for us as an audience, as the characters see it for the first time too. But I also understand why they put it there, because it has generated so much buzz on social media, people debating or what it is, all the artifacts that are there, all that sort of stuff. So I totally understand why it's there, but it would have been nice to have that as a big reveal, just like a killer reveal at the end of the movie.
I do sort of wish with this one, because I feel like with the last Radio Silence Scream film, they really went hard on giving us a lot because they needed to restart the engine. It had been quite a while since Scream 4, so I felt like they were like, yeah, we got to let you guys know what you're getting, and also first Scream film, no Wes, so we need to get the audience in. Obviously it worked. The movie made a ton of money. I feel like this kind of round they could have just done the teaser, like just the short clip on the subway. Like, it's New York, so there's a subway, we get it.
Yeah, I agree.
And then not much. And I understand that that's just not how movie marketing works. And they've done plenty of studies where they show that audiences actually show up to films more when they know more about the movie. So the more you show in a trailer, the more likely audiences are to go watch it, because people want to know what they're getting. On the flip side, it's called Scream 6. I feel like you know what you're getting.
Yeah.
You're getting a Scream movie. The only thing that we didn't know without watching it that we know is that it's in New York, and they've told us that umpteen times. Like, that's the only bit of information we need.
Yeah.
Hey, it's not Woodsboro, it's in New York. Oh, okay, cool. That's all I need. I get it. Subways, apartment buildings, alleyways. Cool.
Ghostface.
Let's
The end.
roll.
I mean, I don't want to get bogged down in Scream because it's not a Scream episode, but one of the things I really appreciated from Radio Silence the first time around was they admitted they didn't really want to. They were having trouble coming up with a trailer because they didn't want to spoil it for people for Scream 5. And they'd had the teaser, and everyone's like, when's the, there was all this buzz. People on Twitter like, when are we going to see the trailer? We want to see trailer. So they bring out a trailer, but they brought out a trailer went for 2 minutes and 10 seconds or something like that, which is there a rule about trailer length? Because I feel like if you really don't want to show too much, can it be shorter? But like you just said, Angus, maybe they just think, oh, well, people need to see enough to be interested to go. And they purposely had made a comment about not having a trailer that was too spoilery, and that's what they did for 5. I thought it was way too spoilery, number 5, and then same thing with this one. I don't think it's super spoilery, but it's like, learn the lesson from the first time. Why don't you just keep it nice and short and sharp? Just hit us with a couple of, I don't know. I just think, I don't know. I think they could have made it tighter and shown us a couple other little bits and pieces. Like, do we even see? We barely saw Samara Weaving. There's other characters that we never saw in the trailer.
We barely saw Hayden Panettiere. Like,
yeah,
there is the slightest moment where they're like, "Oh, it's Kirby. I know something about trauma," or something like that.
Yeah.
And then we're gone. Which they're not showing her too much because she's the killer, obviously, and they don't want to. The more she's on screen, the more the audiences are like, I just want to clarify for our audience, this isn't a leak that's come out. This is just a hard and fast theory I personally have. I haven't spoiled the movie for anyone. No one has announced who the killer is. There's been no script leak. I'm just telling you, as
But when
someone
he's
who
right.
has watched these movies a lot, I'm pretty friggin' sure that she's the killer. Yeah, look, TBD. I'll be honest. I am more excited about Scream 6 than I thought I would be.
Yeah.
I think perhaps I've let go of everything. I have let go of everything that I wanted the next chapter of the Scream franchise to be. And I am just accepting that the people are making it, other people are making it, and they're going to do the very best they can. And I'm going to sit down, opening weekend and watch it with an open mind and open heart. And I'm probably going to have fun because you can't kill Dewey twice. Like, you can't stomp on my stole more than once. It's done. You did it. I'm not that attached to Gale. If she goes, I'll kind of be like, wait. Like,
unless
I know
unless Dewey's in a
dagger to the heart for Cable.
No, I was going to say you can only kill Dewey again if it's like a funeral scene, and then at the start, and then they re-show his death scene from a different angle in Scream 6.
Or he's secretly
Or-
alive and they bring him back
Or
to
if he
kill him
wasn't,
again.
yeah, if he's
Or
not
he's a
dead and
zombie.
he's been held prisoner. Yeah, I mean, hey, look, they said there's never been a Ghostface like me. If the Ghostface is the reanimated corpse of Dewey Riley, this film gets 10 out of 10 just for taking a big swing. Scream 6 is not the only
No.
movie coming out
Mm.
this year. There is
There's a lot of
inevitable-
sequels.
There is the inevitable Marvel and DC onslaught that won't die. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is
Mhm.
coming out first. The first Marvel one coming out this year. We're going to cop that in February, I think. So pretty damn soon. Kind of excited for this one. Honestly, I've been watching through all the Marvel movies and I've gone through the peaks and troughs. Like, this series is pretty sick. To what am I doing with my life?
Mm.
And I'm kind of back around to it because Paul Rudd is one of my favorite actors, and the Ant-Man movies have always had promise, but they've never they've always been the palate cleanser. It's like, hey, here's Endgame. Now here's he's Infinity War, and now here's Ant-Man and the Wasp, just to like chill out for a minute. They've never given it any sort of weight. This one is the setup for the next era of Marvel. This is like the next 10 years of Marvel movies are going to spiral off from Quantumania. So how are you guys feeling about Marvel in 2023 and about where we're about to go? Do you give a shit anymore?
Well, no, because I actually
Do you ever give a shit,
don't,
Michelle?
and I don't think Michelle does. I've never seen her make a Marvel shirt. No, I'll be honest, and I think I've said this on this podcast and probably Chatflix as well, that once Infinity War finished, I was sort of kind of done. I was just cooked on Marvel. And the only thing outside of that I've watched is the Spider-Man movies, because Spider-Man is my favorite character. But the show, Loki, WandaVision, I have followed none of it since. Haven't watched any of the other films. But funnily enough, the Ant-Man and Wasp, or just Ant-Man in general, I actually enjoy those movies. Yes, they might not be the greatest Marvel films, but I feel like everyone bags those. I'm like, yeah, but just having Paul Rudd be semi-serious but comedic enough, I just find them fun movies. And this one is kind of like, oh, I'm kind of interested in seeing, but now I feel like there's so much information I need to go back and collect to go see it.
Well, this is something that's going to be really interesting for Marvel moving forward this year. And I know you guys don't really give a shit, but I will say, like, tiny spoilers for anyone who is not 100% up to date on the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Oh,
But
take out the headphones.
The major villain moving forward for the next
Kang.
10 years is Kang the Conqueror. Kang the Conqueror was introduced kind of, and then this is the spoilers, Kang the Conqueror was introduced in the Loki series as this kind of the secret big bad. And this is the era of Marvel we're moving into, whereas like it used to be the TV series kind of happened aftermath. Like the Hawkeye series is great. I really enjoy it. It has nothing to do with the cinematic universe. You cannot watch it. Watch the movies. Doesn't matter. Same with like, I mean, Moon Knight doesn't tie into anything at this point. She-Hulk Attorney of Law has like a couple of little, bits and pieces, but Loki sets up Quantumania and Quantumania sets up the universe. So we're kind of entering this period where if you are just watching the movies, if you are just going to the actual cinema, you will get 20 minutes into this film and be like, who the fuck's that? Why is that? Why did the music do that when he walked in? Why is everyone like, what? What's happening? Because again, like spoilers, but they allegedly kill off Kang the Conqueror in Loki. And because it's Marvel, when they did that, everyone went, but we know he's the next big villain. So he's not dead, but they do try to trick you in that way. So weird what that does. The other studio that does not have this problem because the TV shows have never interacted and it's just in a constant state of freefall mess. We're getting Shazam, Fury of the Gods. We're getting Aquaman and the donkey who learned to swim or whatever the hell that one is called. I can't even remember anymore.
Is he like Aquaman that you see like from the original comics where he's like on a seahorse?
Oh no! You should probably watch the Aquaman movies. It's Jason Momoa shirtless punching guys in the head.
I
You
know.
probably
I've
like
missed
that
those
one
ones.
more than most. And we're also at some stage, allegedly, unless somebody comes to their senses, we're gonna get the Flash film, which whilst technically not a sequel, is part of the ongoing.
What date are you seeing for that? Because I feel like I heard June for that again, but I thought that was shelved.
I've stopped tracking it because honestly, I feel like they push the release date every time Ezra Miller does something crazy, which at this stage is like almost 4 times a year. So it's a hard one. It is also interesting what they're going to do with the DCU because James Gunn, director of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies and the Suicide Squad sequel, is taking over as the head. He's the Kevin Feige of DC now. He's the big boy. But before he does that, he's got a sequel coming out, Guardians of the
Guardians of
Galaxy
the
Volume 3. Yeah, another
Mhm.
Marvel movie is coming out. And I know I said at the start of this, it's not all spandex. I'm just trying to get these out of the way first. But we are, in addition to having a universe of Marvel that is now based itself around its self-contained TV shows from its self-contained streaming service, we're also getting a Marvel director jumping over to DC to take over everything and kind of steal the tricks of the trade, because he spent a lot of time hanging out with Kevin Feige and working his way up the ladder, and getting fired and then rehired to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was the big story early last year because of some decades old tweets. So look, who knows what's going to happen there, but there is a few, but comparatively less than in previous years. That's me pausing.
Oh, okay, just give me 2 seconds.
Do you have a list of sequels that excite you?
No. Scream
Oh,
6.
well.
That's about it.
Wow. I think I got one here that'll get you excited.
Okay.
All right.
Is there naked guys?
I just asked Michelle if there's any sequels that she's excited about for this year. She said not really. Scream 6, and I said I got one to get you excited, and she said, is there naked guys? Magic Mike's
No.
Last Dance is coming out this year.
I've never seen Magic Mike.
Yeah, that's weird.
The trailer.
they-
Really weird.
I
Not
started it.
only
They swear too much, and I was like, I can't deal with this. If I watch it, I'm just going to watch it with the sound off.
so what you're saying is you want to see the pretty naked boys, but shh, don't ruin it by talking.
Yes.
Wow.
Like life.
All right, you are. My goodness, you're 3 tweets away from being cancelled.
That's
Magic
why I'm
Mike's
not on Twitter.
Last Dance. This is one of the ones I was talking about at the start of the show, where this is like a big franchise. Channing Tatum took like 5 years off films. He just disappeared for a bit, and now he's back. It's coming out February 10th.
Mhm.
Like, it's coming out in a couple of weeks. And Steven Soderbergh is back at directing. He didn't direct the sequel, and now he's back directing the third one, which they're saying is definitely, absolutely the final chapter in the Magic Mike saga, which is what it's become.
Mm.
There's
Well,
going to be as
if we-
many Magic Mike movies as there are Back to the Future movies.
If we
Mm.
want to
Let
do an
that sink
episode
in.
about it, I'll go see
Um,
it if I have to.
Well, look, I was not interested until I saw Steven Soderbergh is back,
Mhm.
because he's an interesting director who makes
Mm.
good films, but also strange choices. Like,
Yep.
he made The Girlfriend Experience. It was like, oh yeah, I'm just going to get a real porn star to star in this movie. And he's like, I'm going to make Unsane. I'm just going to film it all on an iPhone for no reason, just to see what it's like. And then I'm going to make a movie during COVID on an actual cruise liner. And I'm only going to give myself enough time to film from when we leave one port to when we arrive at the other. That's it. If I don't get it, it's not in the movie. Like, he makes wild stuff. And so if he's coming back to make this one, I feel like it's probably for a reason. Like, he's got something to say. He's too smart of a guy to just be like, all right, I'll make Magic Mike 3. So
So what I'm hearing is we're all going to pick a date in February to go see Magic Mike 3 at the cinema.
February 10th is when it is coming out. That's the date.
Wow.
Speaking of sweaty, shirtless men, Creed 3
Mm.
is coming out. And this one is becoming controversial because no
not a-
Stallone.
It's not about
Yeah.
the band Creed, right?
It's not about the band Creed.
It's not about the
okay, so-
making of What If?
So for Michelle and everyone else who hasn't followed this, Creed is an incredibly successful sequel slash spin-off from the Rocky franchise. And Apollo Creed is Rocky's opponent in the very first Rocky movie. This film series follows his son with a very old Rocky Balboa coaching him.
Mm.
Stallone was in 1 and 2. Now, the controversy is that he wasn't asked to be in Creed 3. Which I don't know, because he's still an executive producer because he owns the property. And he's too smart of a businessman to let something happen where he would be written out of his own franchise. So I don't know what the kind of happened there. But
Mm.
we're getting a movie in the Rocky universe with no Rocky for the first time ever.
I think he just got too caught up in remastering the original Rocky movies that he forgot they were making a third Creed film. Because it is bizarre. Like, to be honest, I haven't totally followed it at all. Haven't really dug deep into why he's not in it or why he's not involved
There
per
doesn't seem
se.
to be a
Though I
clear-
have seen a little bit of bits and pieces pop up on social media, to the point of he wasn't happy with any of the Creed films. Like, he was a part of them, but he wasn't super high on them. And I'm like, what? Hang on a sec. I thought they were good films and you were good in them, and I don't know. So it's kind of like this.
Yeah, that
weird...
feels like a revisionist history, because he would not shut up about how good Creed was.
Yeah, and that's
told everyone it was his idea. So
yeah, yeah. I think there's I don't know, and look, that could be misquoting. I mean, that happens a lot these days. That someone says one thing and they just go with the one sentence instead of the whole paragraph and make it look like they said something that they didn't. So I don't know, but it does seem really bizarre for him not to be involved in this one, and kind of be on the outs and kind of be annoyed because you don't need
I mean,
Stallone being angry about. Anyway,
not about this. But is is it have we got another Scream with no Nev situation going on? Did somebody just not offer enough money and Stallone's just not going to say it out loud, but Nev did? I don't know. More men punching people. John Wick 4 is coming out this year. I did not think we were getting 4 John Wick movies.
No.
My God. It has been a law of diminishing returns with these. I love Keanu
Yeah.
Reeves. I think it's a great character for him. The first one was incredible. The second one was, I couldn't follow it. The third one got crazy weird, which I kind of enjoyed, but also I fell asleep in the final fight. And I love these kind of movies.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm not a huge fan. I like the first one, but I think, like you said, diminishing returns. It kind of gets to the point where it's just waves upon waves of these guys, and he's just got all the guns and.
Well, they're trying to write in some kind of epic
Yeah, but
lore to the universe
still
now, and it's just not there.
But it's still too. I just feel like John Wick, especially in some parts, is just like watching someone on Twitch play Grand Theft Auto or some sort of video game. It just gets a little bit over the top, and he kills like 170 blokes, and he gets a couple of bullet wounds himself, fixes himself up, and he has enough friends to somehow get him out of a few pickles, and that's it. And it's kind of like, oh, how many times can you do this? At least I feel like John McClane felt a little bit more realistic. It wasn't waves upon waves of people after him.
Well, I guess the problem that John Wick has written itself into, and maybe John Wick 4 fixes that, who knows, is that, use John McClane as example. He was like, wrong place, wrong time, right guy to save the day. Whereas with the John Wick movies, it feels like everyone is trying to kill John Wick. So he's the center of the problem, and that does become a bit ridiculous. It's like, how many people are going to try and kill one guy? Like, he's already killed like 900 people. The only thing that does get me excited about this is that Donnie Yen is in it, and I love Donnie Yen. He's an incredible martial arts actor, and he hasn't done much, at least not much for like the American film market in a while. I'm keen to see that. This movie was meant to come out 2 years ago. They finished it 2 years ago, and COVID delayed it.
Wow.
So the only thing that blows my mind more that there is a John Wick 4 is that we were going to get a John Wick 4 2 years ago. I don't know
that's
when
crazy.
they would have made it.
Yeah.
They must have made it as soon as they finished John Wick 3. Or should I say John Wick
Parallel? Maybe they just repurposed the third movie and it's just,
maybe that's it.
Rebadged John Wick 4.
Just chuck it on streaming. You're not Top Gun Maverick. Like, stay in your lane.
Speaking of lanes, we're getting Fast X. See what I did there? Lanes, driving cars. That's a pretty damn good segue. You should appreciate that.
Very good. Very
Edit
good.
that out.
Off the top of my head. Fast X, the alleged
Final
one. However, they have already intimated that this is actually part one of a 2-part film.
Of course.
So Fast X part
will be
1
double
is
X, and the next one will be
going
Fast XX.
And then it'll cross over with that, what is it? Vin Diesel's X or Triple X?
Triple X. It's called Triple X.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, Fast Triple X.
You're welcome, Hollywood.
Get him making no sense in 2 franchises.
Yeah.
Look, for people who love the Fast and the Furious movies, this is a big deal, and God bless them. I think I tapped out around number 5 or 6, and there's a couple in there.
God, I've only seen like 2.
There's a couple in there that are fun. There's a couple in there that are just abysmal. They did the Fast and the Furious franchise, I think, is very interesting from a sequel point of view because they knew like 3 films in that they were done. And if they wanted to keep going, they had to be drastic. So they were just like, fuck it. We're going to do heist movies now. We're Mission Impossible with cars. And they like rebranded the entire franchise.
Yeah, 100%.
And then so I think it has the most annoying naming of any franchise too. Because I think it's The Fast and the Furious, Too Fast, Too Furious, Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift, then just Fast and Furious.
Yep.
Then Fast 5. And then Furious 6, and then Fast and the Furious 7 because they couldn't figure out a fun one for that. And then Furious, so it jumps around. But I think
and didn't they have Shaw and Hobbs as well?
Yeah, so originally that was a total
yeah.
spin-off, and then the studios panicked, and then it became Fast and the Furious presents Shaw and Hobbs.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So some of them are genuinely thrilling, fun rides. Part of me kind of wants to check this out in the cinema because I know they did a lot of practical effects. And after seeing Top Gun Maverick in the cinema, I'm really keen for that kind of stuff.
You know,
If you
and
love Fast and the Furious movies, you should be excited.
yeah, just to, I'm a bit like you. I definitely am not a car person to start off with, but I won tickets for the first movie and went on to see it and went with a rev head, so he loved it. And I did enjoy aspects of it, but the one thing I did like was, generally speaking, most of it was practical effects, like real cars, real car smashes. I got on board. Then I got dragged along to see Too Fast, Too Furious. Obviously, Vin Diesel doesn't come back, so it's all about Paul Walker. And then when he launches a car onto a boat, that's when that kind of lost me. And it was kind of like, I'm out. I think I got dragged to Tokyo Drift because I know I've seen that one too. But apart from that, I was kind of like, I don't like, if you're going to keep CGIing cars and being ridiculous, there's something about it just doesn't have, you put the stakes on it, but it's not real. I want to see a real stunt in a car, and then I feel like when they're coming out, and that's what I always give James Bond films, especially the first 20, that when they want to do car stunts, they're like, we do this for real. And, you know, I think that's what the Fast and the Furious need to do. I know it's dangerous, but if you want to do it, you got to make it look real, or maybe CGI around it or something, but the real car stuff has to be legit. Otherwise, it just doesn't.
And Justin Lin is back directing him, and he's done a few of them, and he's a big practical effects guy. So I think.
Yeah.
See, I've only seen the first two, and I would say I'm not a car person either, but I will admit it on here. I have a car model of the pink car from Too Fast, Too Furious.
Wow. What a very specific piece of memorabilia to have from a franchise you care not at all about.
But it was a cool car back in the day.
You've got a wall and it's all just like craft.
What kind of car is it?
Face masks, and then the pink car from Too Fast, Too Furious. Not even the muscle car from the first one.
No, I think it's just a Holden, but it was pink and it was cool. It's nothing like it's not a fancy like, you know, Ferrari or whatever.
I think we're
Your assessments of movies is always just delightful. A few more superhero films coming across the slate as well. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, the sequel to the animated smash. I would say that I genuinely was one of my favorite films to see in cinemas the year it came out. Following Miles Morales, Spider-Man. I'm all in. If you like these movies, you already know. If you haven't seen these movies, just go watch the first one. You'll understand. They're so freaking good.
On the trailer, seems pretty epic as well.
I have not watched it. I don't want to watch it. I don't need to know. I want no spoilers. I want nothing. The second they announced they were making a sequel, I was like, you have my money. I don't need anything else from you. I'm going in. And it's
I believe
two-parter. And
I was going to say, I believe that's to be a two-parter.
It absolutely is. And I think the second part might, I think it was going to drop this year. Now I think it might be dropping early 24. But we're getting a sequel to the sequel, which is great.
Right, Michelle's busting to say something.
Oh no, it's a Honda S2000. It's not even.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't want to correct you on the Holden. I was pretty sure.
Holden, Honda, whatever. If it was an Australian movie, it would have been a Holden.
Well,
true. Holden versus Ford.
Muscle car fan base for the show. They all just unsubscribed. Holden, Honda, same thing. Delete this bullshit.
It had wheels. It was pink.
We're getting another live action Disney remake. Who's excited?
Oh God, which one?
The Little Mermaid.
Oh yeah.
No,
I think that's where everyone is a bit at with these.
They don't need to keep doing it.
Well, this one looks like it might have some merit. Like they're making some interesting choices. It's a fun one. Seeing real mermaids could be cool. Like doing The Lion King was such a weird choice
mermaids?
Because you just you went from animating it as a cartoon to animating it as a cartoon that was trying to look real.
Yeah.
And the Jungle Book was the same thing. Like just watch everything on here is fake. It's all green screen. Just watch the cartoon. But this one, you know,
real
they're
mermaids.
People. They're mermaids. And I think for kids, I mean, these movies are always for kids. For kids in particular, to be able to go to cinema and see what ostensibly looks like a real friggin' mermaid, that's pretty cool. Not so much for me. Tell you what is friggin' for me that I wrote off completely until I saw the trailer by accident. Transformers: Rise of the Motherfucking Beasts. This movie looks bad ass. Have you guys seen the trailer?
Yeah.
No.
I may have seen it a few times.
Robots that also transform into giant gorillas. I will give you so much of my money to watch this movie. I am very excited.
It's going to be interesting to see how it actually fits into the whole universe because I stopped
watching. I got halfway through the second Transformers. I love the first one. The second one I was like, this is
I've seen the first one.
I'm never going back. I'm going to go watch all of them just to make sure that I fully appreciate this one.
Do you know what? I'm probably the Transformers loser in the room because clearly I've seen all of them. I have them all on, I think, 4K or whatever, and I wouldn't
Do they
sit
get
down
any
and watch
better?
them often. But I know
The
they
sequel, oof.
well, it's hard. Like I think it's just I just am too loyal that I stick with it. But firstly Michael Bay, he did it the first couple. Well, he did the first 5, but he kept saying, "Oh, this is my last one, but I'm going to hand it off. But we're going to continue. I'm going to be producing," and then he still ended up making.
Well, he
4
did
and-
an interview
4
where
and
he said in
5.
an interview, "I made too many of them. I shouldn't have made so many."
Oh,
And
no,
he
it's
was like,
ridiculous.
"I didn't ask."
I do feel like a lot of the times when I think of a scene and stuff, I'm like, so much of it blends into one of these 5 movies. And I think I will say though, they came up with some really good concepts and ideas, but whether the execution of it and maybe the novelty, like seeing Transformers for the first time in that first movie,
Oh my god, that was so
it was
cool.
it was so groundbreaking to see, all the innards. It's just you think about Optimus Prime transforming, Bumblebee, and just seeing all the motors and everything moving around as they transform. Like, oh my god, this is just epic. But then once you get to the 5th movie, it's like, we've seen this, we've done this, we've seen the explosions, we've seen the chases. Like, how much more do we need to see? And then they go, okay, we're going to kind of do a bit of a reset. And Bumblebee was really good. So I don't know where this sits in. Is this a continuation of the Bumblebee storyline, or is this part of the first 5 storyline? I don't know.
I wonder if perhaps Transformers has finally realized they don't need to worry too much about storyline. And it's like, look, it's a giant Transformer gorilla. And people are like, we don't give a
that'll
shit where
bring
this
him
fits in. Punch him in the head.
Yeah.
The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
This is
another
weird. That's
freaking Hunger
crazy
Games
because
coming out
I
this
can
year?
tell you for a fact I learned about this today. I was actually listening to Chatflix and they were talking about what's coming out this year and they mentioned this and I'm like, what? I like the Hunger Game movies, but I did not know there was going to be a prequel. Is it a book or is it a brand new thing?
I think
No.
there's a book that's just come out that's like a spin-off or a prequel to the Hunger Games. But just before, see that I've even met Bumblebee.
Oh, for the listeners, Michelle is showing us a photo of her looking almost like Bumblebee's trying to grope you. Is that what's happening? His hand is not.
Yeah.
What's
Maybe.
going on there? You also
I don't
seem fine with it, so good on both of you.
And I can kind of imagine Bumblebee, you know
well.
how he can't speak? He's just playing that Rick Astley song, it's...
Incredible. Yeah, every time he does something inappropriate, he's plays Shaggy's "It Wasn't Me," and everyone's like,
Yeah.
you're delightful. You're delightful. A couple of the weird ones before we get to the ones that I'm genuinely pumped for. Wonka. We're getting a Charlie and
yeah.
Chocolate Factory prequel that's a musical starring Timothy Chalamet.
Oh, I didn't know it was a prequel. I thought it was just another reimagination.
That's why he's so young in this one.
That makes
Prequel,
sense.
musical.
But is it a
Honestly,
prequel?
like,
Is it a
TBD?
prequel to the original, or is it just still a like?
Or is it a prequel to the Johnny Depp?
Let's see if it gives us anything. I don't think.
Or it's just a prequel to like the
Because
story.
I feel like he's more of a Timothy Chalamet. Looks a little bit more like he'd be a Johnny Depp kid, not a Gene Wilder kid.
True.
And
Well,
it depends
Gene
on
Wilder
what
usually-
setting, because it needs to be sort of 70s looking, or even earlier than that if he's Wonka. I don't know. Do I need to see another Willy Wonka film? I don't know.
I don't look, honestly, this one's TBD for me because I like the choices of film that Timothy Chalamet has made recently. So I kind of am interested to see why he would be jumping onto this when he doesn't need to. Like he's got the cred to do whatever he wants to do. He's got enough, like he's in Dune. He's got a franchise if he's worried about franchise money. He's kind of doing okay. All we know is that this story will focus specifically on young Willy Wonka and how he met the Oompa Loompas on one of his earliest adventures. That's what we get.
As long as he gets to meet the Snozzwangles as well, then that'd be good. And I want to see where Snozzberries come from.
As long as it's a bit crazy, I think I might be on
I think it will be.
I don't like get weird with it. If you're gonna make another Willy Wonka, like let's have more of the weird kind of Gene Wilder Willy Wonka, not the wrong kind of weird Johnny Depp Willy Wonka.
The Michael Jackson.
The Johnny Depp one, kind of in hindsight, is kind of weird too, because he sort of half model it off Michael Jackson a bit.
It's
as
really
well.
weird.
100% model off Michael Jackson.
Yeah, it's super weird. If they'd made it a horror movie, I reckon it would have been better. The Tim Burton one. He's totally killing those kids, putting him in his chocolate.
Yes. Always. I thought we all knew that. We are also getting The Nun 2, another one of those movies that in that universe, which no one seemed to ask for or
Yeah.
is particularly pumped
I,
for. But the
I
Conjuring
like The
universe
Conjuring,
continues.
but I didn't bother with The
Mm.
Nun.
The Conjuring is a great film, and it somehow has
Yep.
spiraled like this. I mean, it's starting to kind of rival Marvel. It's
Mhm.
it's like so many. And also speaking of Patrick Wilson, his other horror movie franchise that just won't go away, Insidious. We're getting Insidious Part 5 with Patrick Wilson
Wow.
directing.
Wow.
Why not? Like, hey man,
Why not? I feel like that's the
Go
one
back
I
to the
haven't
well.
caught up with. I think what was the one with Ethan Hawke? Why do I get Insidious and
Sinister. Sinister?
Sinister?
Sinister.
I don't know why I get those sort
Sinister's
of in the same.
badass. Sinister's really cool
Yeah.
and really depraved. There's a sequel to that I haven't checked out, but love it.
Yeah. I feel like the Conjuring universe, they kind of needed to call it the Conjuring, but yeah, and title it the Nun or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I've lost track of. They've got the Conjuring, then the Conjuring 2, then Annabelle, Creation, then the Nun, and it's just like, and then you can
And,
lose track of what
Annabelle
the
Comes
Curse of
Home.
Lorna. Curse of
Oh, yeah.
Lorna is part of that universe.
the
Conjuring,
Devil Made
The
Me
Devil
Do
Made
It.
Me Do It.
Mm.
I feel like there's another one.
So they should be like the
Annabelle
Conjuring
Comes
presents.
Home. There's like
Yeah.
there's 3 Annabelles, 2 nuns, La Lorna,
I
4
lo- yeah, I
Conjurings,
like
3 Conjurings? I don't know.
I
Two
like the
Conjurings?
idea of the Nun, but I don't know if the Nun was that good. The first
I haven't seen it yet, and I keep meaning to check these out because I am quite interested in a horror franchise that is doing, kind of what Transformers and what DC and Marvel are doing. Like, hey, fuck it, we're just going to take all these properties, and every time there's one little thing in a movie that people are like, that's cool, like we'll make a whole movie out of that. Let's just keep going forever.
Yeah.
Jason Blum and James Wan are smart people, so I trust that it's going to be a bit of fun. Okay, now a couple that I think we can genuinely get excited for. At least I hope we're all excited for. And I'll start off with one we probably shouldn't be excited for, but I am. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. We're getting a 5th Indiana Jones film, an alleged final one, according to Harrison Ford. This is it. It is done. We are sans Spielberg. We've got James Mangold, who's come on board as a director. We've got Antonio Banderas, Mads Mikkelsen, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Shanti Renee Wilson, Toby Jones, Boyd Holbrook. Like, it's a hell of a cast.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And the trailer gives me hope, but I kind of, it's funny because no Lucas, no Spielberg, you go, it's their thing. That's that concerning, but then they did the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, so maybe it's a good thing. I don't know. But
when was the last time a part 5 of a series came out with a brand new creative team and it didn't go? I
don't even start.
remember, but it feels like we might be. Look, I'm on the fence of this. I want to believe. I think unlike most series that do this kind of stuff, where you keep making sequels well past the use by date, but because of pure nostalgia, I think Indiana Jones at the moment has the best strike rate. Like, we're 3 for 4. That's pretty good. And I know the most recent one was the disappointment for a lot of fans. But if they can pull this off, then we're 4 for 5, and that is a pretty damn good strike rate for a franchise that's been stretching on nearly 50 years. We're coming up on something like that. When did the first
40
one come out?
40
years.
81.
42 years we'll have from first to last. That's pretty impressive. What do you think, Michelle? Are you keen? Are you excited?
No.
Do you have any love for
You can
India?
replace me for that episode. I couldn't care less.
Oh, don't worry, you've been replaced.
But Indiana Jones, not even Indiana Jones, one of the foundations.
No, I tried to watch one of them,
shop.
but I think it might have been the one that you guys said was shit. So probably not the best place
You
to start.
probably tried to watch 4.
Oh my!
I know, that's
yeah.
gonna
I feel bad
taint
for anyone
everything.
whose first experience with Indiana Jones is Crystal Skull, which I've never hated. It's just not great. But if that's your first introduction, you're not going to go back for more. I don't believe. Something that it has absolutely earned my excitement based on recent movies that have fucking nothing to do with it is Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. I'm back on the cruise wagon. You want to show me some more crazy live action stunts of you just doing wild shit? I'm in. You have my money. I'm pumped. Did you guys, were you already high on the Mission Impossible series before Top Gun Maverick changed all our lives forever?
Never seen them.
No? Oh, they're great. You got to check them out, Michelle. They're a wild, wild series of films that, like every sequel, it's almost like every sequel is from a different dimension.
Mm.
Like the first one is a Brian De Palma film. It's a Brian De Palma like noirish thriller. The second one is a fucking John Woo kung fu movie. Like
Yeah.
they could, and then the third one is a J.J. Abrams like
Yeah.
almost sci-fi techie kind of
Mm.
man. Like they really, really kept jumping through different genres for these movies until Christopher McQuarrie and Tom Cruise kind of teed up on 5, I think.
Mm.
And since then, it's very much been like, I think Brad Bird did 4.
Yeah.
The guy did The Incredible, and then the guy directed The Incredibles.
Yeah.
His first live action movie
Mm.
was Mission Impossible 4. That's how weird this series has been.
Is Brad Bird?
And then
I thought Brad
Christopher
Bird
McQuarrie
had
came.
done. No, oh, maybe I felt like he's come back and he's done 2 of those movies. No, maybe not.
I thought Christopher McQuarrie had taken over, and
Yeah.
him and Tom Cruise were
But
like,
that's
"We're gonna run the
I think
world."
while we're talking some of these sequels, like there's definitely some movies we're talking about that we're definitely going to talk about this year at some point. And Mission Impossible 2 is definitely one of those. And it's very famous for, I guess, the sliding doors moment that because there was so many reshoots on Mission Impossible 2, Dougray Scott, who was supposed to be Wolverine, had to pull out of Wolverine, and Hugh Jackman, who was the second choice, became Wolverine, and has now been in how many 13 films?
Still,
some,
next
some
year, I
ridiculous
think it
amount of
is-
films.
Is the
And
early
Dougray Scott
announcement-
is kind of, he's not a nothing, but he hasn't had a career. Geez, I think he would be spewing, because I think Mission Impossible 2 is definitely looked at as the worst movie in the franchise.
I'll hear none of it. It's amazing.
Oh no,
love Mission
I actually still like it. And I still kind of wish there was a day where John Woo was able to bring out the director's cut, or at least the extended cut, which actually explains more of the movie, because there was so much that had to be cut for a time which made the story a little bit just all over the shop, and no one could really follow it. It was all about the action. So I'd like to believe in my heart of hearts there is a good Mission Impossible 2 out there somewhere.
It is. It's the one that we saw in cinemas when we were 15
Yeah.
years old. And it blew our minds.
But yeah,
and
to be
Limp
honest,
Bizkit did the theme song. It was so good.
Yeah, I didn't.
That'd make me want to watch it.
I never hated Mission. I never hated Mission Impossible 2, but I do understand the hate it gets, and I understand why. But
To
Yeah,
quote Fred Durst, now I know why you want to hate me.
Oh, not My Way or the Highway.
I don't know. Is it because we're Australian, and when something gets filmed mainly in Australia, it kind of feels like
Oh, we
take
absolutely
a bit of ownership? Yeah,
Yeah, we give it so much more credit. They're like,
Yeah,
so
so-
fucking else, mate.
Tom Cruise is Australian now.
And Richard Roxenberg was really good in it as well, and yeah, but the sliding doors moment of it gave Hugh Jackman
I do
his
think,
leg up.
yeah,
Yeah, it's crazy.
on his deathbed, when someone is stroking Dougray Scott's hair and being like, "It's okay, you can let go," he's just gonna whisper like, "I could have fucking been Wolverine."
And then
I could have
he dies.
fucking been. Because yeah, like you said, it next year we're at this stage. Next year we're getting Deadpool 3, and fucking he's back,
Wolverine,
baby.
right?
Wolverine is Hugh Jackman is back as Wolverine after all the hype and the questions and the queries about who's going to replace Hugh Jackman as Wolverine when they inevitably bring Wolverine into the MCU, because they can do that now. They've got the rights. It's going to happen. Who's going to be? Who's going to be? And then Ryan Reynolds is like, it's going to be fucking Hugh Jackman again. That's what it's going to be. He's coming back. I don't care if he died in Logan. He's coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah, wilds. But that's next year. That's not this year. What is this year apart from that Mission Impossible is Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. So it is not the full.
And that's definitely an IMAX experience, I think, this time.
It absolutely is a big old badass IMAX experience. What is coming out this year that probably, I think I would say early pick, my most anticipated and most excited for sequel for the year. Evil Dead Rise, we're getting this year, a sequel to the original series, not
Is
the
it?
remake that happened a few years ago. Yeah, it's
Okay.
it is a continuation of the original 3. The remake is a separate universe situation.
So is Bruce Campbell going to be in this one or not?
No,
Wait.
so actually the first trailer for Evil Dead Rise, and I thought this is a really weird publicity move. The first trailer was Bruce Campbell posted on his Twitter, him talking to the camera, being like, "Hey everybody, we got the exciting new trailer for Evil Dead Rise coming up. I'm not in it, but I did produce it, so I had lots to do with the creation of it, and I'm very excited about what we can. And he really tells everyone, like, I'm not in the movie. There is no Ash, but I am the executive producer, and Sam Raimi and I like sculpted this together, so that when fans check out IMDb and don't see Bruce Campbell listed as Ash, they don't flip a table like those whingy little bitches do. So it's not.
That feels weird though. Still,
It feels well. I think they're getting ahead of the problem, and then after that he showed the actual trailer, and the actual trailer looks fucking sweet. It looks so good. It looks gory and
it does. It does feel like it's like Courtney Cox. It's like, I'm a producer on Scream 7. I'm not in it.
Yeah.
They couldn't afford me this time, and Nev decided to, not be involved either. But I'm a producer, so it's all right. You can go and see it.
Well, you know what I think it is? I think that perhaps Bruce Campbell has realized, like, studios just don't necessarily want him. Like, he took Sliding Doors moment. It was down to him and Billy Zane to play the Phantom in the Phantom movie, and Billy Zane got it. And Bruce Campbell talks about this in his book, which is called If Chins Could Kill, which is a friggin' fucking hilarious book, but also a great name for a book. And he talks about how, like, coming to terms with the fact that there was only so much he could do as a performer before it got to the point where he's like, it's my face. Like, there is a point where it's just my face is my face, and not every studio wants my face.
Yeah.
They want someone else's face. So I just have to, like, figure out, and he talks about, like, I had to figure out my life as a B movie actor because I couldn't get my face to work in A movies. And then he got into TV and got Burn Notice and stuff like that. So I think perhaps he's figured out for this one, if he wants this franchise to have a really long life after this kind of regeneration of the series again, the smartest move for him is probably to keep his name on the project so the fans are excited, but to not necessarily put his face in the picture. As a fan of Bruce Campbell, I think she's been fucking everything. I love him, and I wish he was in this movie.
So did he do a cameo in the remake?
No. Oh, you're testing me. I don't think he did.
But he's pretty much been in everything Evil Dead, including the recent TV show Ash versus,
which is incredible.
Yeah,
and I think that part.
So he's been part of that whole universe until now, is what we're saying, pretty much.
Yeah, he is, and always has been a big part of Evil Dead, and so I think him doing this announcement is kind of like, it might be a double-edged sword where the fans of Bruce Campbell, he wants to let them know, hey, I'm not in this, but also the people who are like, the TV show is kind of goofy. We don't want to watch 93 minutes of that. Like, no. This is like real horror. It is a HBO Max movie, so it means it will get a small theatrical release, at least in the States. It might go because we don't have HBO Max.
Was this also supposed to come out a while ago and then push?
Yeah, this was COVID. It was initially going to come out early last year.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Now we get it in April this year. So the director, Lee Cronin, I don't really know, but the trailer, I feel like Lee Cronin knows how to direct horror because it looks pretty freaky. And it's exciting to see this franchise carry on. I like that they've put it out of the cabin. They haven't gone back to the woods. This one is in an apartment block. I feel like 2023 might be a bit of the year of having horror in big cities because
New York new rules.
I just saw Megan, and large parts of Megan are set in a city.
Cabin.
And,
really?
Yeah, and they're doing this. Lee Cronin directed a movie called The Hole in the Ground, which I have not seen, but got great press as like a really eerie kind of film. And that's all I really know him from. He did little bits and pieces of like segments of anthologies, a couple episodes of a TV show for an app. Not much, but I know I feel confident that if Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi have got their paws all over Evil Dead Rise, they would have handpicked the director for it. I think he's going to be good. The trailer's good. It is my most hyped and excited about film I will be seeing at opening weekend. It's good. Do you have let me guess, you have seen none of the Evil Dead movies, Michelle?
Correct.
There we go. We absolutely, at some stage this year, I'm really going to push hard, perhaps even just before the release of this one. I'm going to push really hard for us to do Evil Dead 2 because it is one of the best, most interesting and important horror films / indie films ever. So just heads up, Michelle. You might want to get on that.
You're just trying to make me watch things.
Look,
Expand your horizons.
Hmm.
You will not be disappointed.
Mm.
You absolutely will not be disappointed.
I've heard about the first one. It's weird. It sounded weird. Is that the necromancer thingy or whatever it's called? The book?
Necronomicon.
That's
Yes.
the one.
Yeah. First one.
Oh,
Classic
God forbid
British.
there's a movie with a weird book with an eye in it or something, you know?
Shut up. I know what you're talking about.
I think everyone knows what he's talking about.
That's a great movie. Leave it alone.
It is a great movie that borrows heavily from Evil Dead.
Oh, I've already got a daughter that's like, can we watch Hocus Pocus again, Dad?
Yes, Corrupted.
What have I done? What have I
She
done?
can come over here and watch it. I'll watch it with
It's
her.
good. Look, are there any sequels we haven't covered yet that you guys are pumped for that you've seen on the slate that you're like,
Ooh.
yes?
Well, there's something
or
you didn't
conversely,
mention, and
like,
I'm gonna.
no!
There's something you haven't mentioned, and
Meg 2?
And
Meg 2
funnily
the Trench.
enough,
Sorry, I haven't mentioned it.
and funnily enough, Chatflix didn't mention this either when they talked about movies coming out and stuff. But I'm pretty sure I saw Ghostbusters on the slate for December.
This is the early rumor. I was looking
Yeah.
up. So December 20
They're
is the
filming.
current announced release date for Ghostbusters Afterlife Part 2. Now, the things that have the reason I didn't bring it up yet, I did want to talk about Bumper, but yeah, there's two things. One, there's no actual announcement about if filming's even started, let alone wrapped.
I believe the rumor I
We'll have a
heard.
lot of practical and digital effects.
Yeah, I was hearing April, but yeah, I mean,
Uh,
I don't want them to rush it. So
it also doesn't have an official title yet.
Okay.
So, look, I think the
what
fact
I've
they-
been hearing is Ghostbusters Firehouse. But that could be just
I would
totally.
like that.
That
That
could
would be so much
the-
better than Ghostbusters Afterlife Part 2, which is what I feel like they might.
No, I don't think. I
go
think.
for. I think if it's not Firehouse, I really want it to be something like Ghostbusters Afterlife. That would make me happy. Just go stupid.
No, it's going to be after Gozer. Yeah, but who knows? It could be.
If that's
next year.
real, it will be pretty high up on my list of excitement. Because the Ghostbusters series is one that no matter what the previous released film was, I will always go back for more without hesitation, because I think it is a deep well that perhaps sometimes isn't correctly executed, but is always great. There is one that I was hanging out to talk about sort of until towards the end, because there's plenty of sequels coming out. We're getting Expendables 4, we're getting Equalizer 3, we're getting a lot of like sequels to action films, and it's kind of nice because it is very 80s in that vibe where it's like, fuck it, we're just gonna have another like guy with a gun go shoot some people because the last one made some money and there's a market. And I'm glad we're getting back into that world of filmmaking a little bit, where let's have fun. Not everything has to be a superhero movie or a period drama. Let's have fun again. The 2023, it seems like it's big on fun. What we are allegedly getting in October this year, which I cannot believe it will come out in October. I really will be stunned if it actually comes out in October. We are getting David Gordon Green's The Exorcist, which in a maddening sense of deja vu is not a remake, but a sequel to the original 1973 The Exorcist that ignores all the other sequels and just follows the events of the original Exorcist. That brings back the original female lead of Ellen Burstyn, who is rejoining the series, picking up all these years later, following the trauma of what happens to a woman whose daughter is possessed by a demon. And they're already talking about it being a trilogy. So
no way.
The Exorcist ends.
David Gordon Green, Danny McBride is back as his co-writer.
Really?
Also, Scott Teems and Peter Sattler are coming on board to pen.
You know what? To be totally honest,
for any listeners who are confused about why we're confused, David Gordon Green is the director, producer, writer, architect of the most recent Halloween trilogy that did exactly what I've just described, but with Michael Myers. Hey, come on now. Come on. That series is like 80% of the way there. All right? It's good. It's good.
It was okay.
I like Halloween Ends. I'll fight anyone. I don't care. Halloween Ends was crazy. People, if I was at university, I'd write a thesis on that fucking movie.
You could do it anyway.
You know what? I think there's a video, and it's like I watched it, and we talked about it in our video, like saying how it was very 80s theme. Yeah, back. There's a lot of parallels to Christine. I was like, oh my god, like, hello, yeah. It's like, anyway, that's a whole other thing. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
We've moved on.
And who wrote Christine? Who directed Christine?
I'll be
It
fully
was John Carpenter. It's all deliberate. So yeah,
I'll be fully transparent. Is that I don't care about any Exorcist remake. I never liked The Exorcist. I know that's blasphemy for some people, but I
I didn't like it either. I got bored. I haven't even
Oh
finished.
yeah, I agree. I'm like Michelle. I got so amped for it. I just didn't. I remember we did it for cinema.
The power of Christ compels you.
I'm like, I understand why some people love it, but I actually felt bored in it. I was like, this just.
I'm sure for back in its day it was scary and it was good, but I tried to watch it years ago and couldn't get through it.
But having said that, I'm definitely keen to actually rewatch it for the first time in probably 20 years, and then actually watch the sequels. And is it the third one that has like a couple of different versions, or is Angus, lift your head? Because Jeffrey Dahmer.
Okay, look, I will say this about the Exorcist series. It does have a lot of parallels with the Halloween movies in that it gets freaking crazy for a little bit. So the second one, Exorcist 2, The Heretic, follows the young girl, follows Reagan a few years after the events, and there is obviously another evil that comes to town. It's pretty friggin' weird. The third act of that movie goes places that it does not deserve to or is necessarily able to go, and it's pretty crazy. It does get hard to watch. Exorcist 3 pulls a Halloween 3, has fuck all to do with the first two.
Is Tom Atkins in it?
The first two. No, but I wish he was. But George C. Scott is in it, and he's great in it, and it is a genuinely great horror film. And there is one of the like best jump scares in cinema history in Exorcist 3, which you can find a very deliberate nod and wink to in a friend of the show, Patrick Lucier's My Bloody Valentine. So it's a great
coming
film that
soon.
has a lot of history.
Good plug.
Then there's also a couple of prequels. My favorite thing about the Exorcist prequels is they made one and the studio was like, this is garbage, but we're going to release it, but we also need to make a proper one. So as soon as they released that, they were like, immediately go make another one, please. So there are two competing prequels to The Exorcist, both approved by the same studio.
I think Sean's someone we should. I think we need Sean on for those episodes.
Oh, he would have seen them all.
But Sean, I feel like that whole story, Sean's very across all what happened with those films, because I remember him talking. I'm pretty sure on Chatterflix.
Is Linda Blair at least in any of the others?
She's in 2. Linda Blair's in Heretic. She's not in 3. She's not in the prequels, and it looks like she's not in David Gordon Green's The Exorcist, which is, I mean, can someone just have a quick 5-minute chat with either David Gordon Green or Jason Blum, whoever is like the final say on titles, just a quick chat about titles and creativity, and about stop making sequels.
Stopping them from making movies.
As the last, you bite your tongue. David Gordon Green is amazing. Yeah, it's like, come on, it was hard enough taking Halloween as the title for the Halloween sequel. The Exorcist is the sequel to the come on, man. Also, if it's following, like the two Exorcists from the Exorcist movie are dead. Spoilers, but they're dead. All right, one of them dies in the first one, one of them dies in the third one. They're friggin' dead. Right? There's not going to be either of those Exorcists in this new one.
What if they're the ones haunting her now because they're dead? She might be being haunted by the.
We did that in spoilers.
Damn.
Spoilers. We did that in Exorcist 3. It's done.
But I was clever.
So, come up with a better title, because this one doesn't really do it for me. But man, I'm interested. If he does something like this, movie will become my favorite movie of 2023 if he does the same thing he did in Halloween Ends. He's like, fuck all of you. This is the movie I'm making, and it's gonna go in this direction. And if you don't like it, you can kiss my dick. I'm like, yes, David Gordon Green, you are the fucking best. I would love it if people lost it. But also, Exorcist is a weird one because it doesn't have that fanatic fan base. Like, people accept the first one as being one of the great films,
Mm.
you know, of the last century, and horror film fans will always put this, you know, in their top 10, top 20 films, if only because of how iconic it is and how impactful it is. But it doesn't have the rabid fandom of Halloween, so it is an interesting one to pick up on and do as a sequel rather than a reboot. It also just had the reboot TV series that came out. I think that finished up about 2 years ago, which no one seems to remember existed. at all.
No.
So I don't know. It's going to be a very, very interesting film to dive in on, but maybe not the film I am most excited to see. That's definitely The Dead Rise. Is the film I am most interested to like follow along the journey of in this year and to check out come October. And of course, I can't believe these words are going to leave my mouth. We're getting another Saw movie this year, guys. Saw 10. Saw 10.
Oh.
10. Jigsaw's
Not Saw
back.
X.
Well, it varies back and forth.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's billed as Saw X. Sometimes it's. I think it was Saw X, and then Fast X came along. And they're like, oh shit. So now I see it billed as Saw 10 a lot. I don't know, man. Like they literally spiraled off from the main story with Spiral, and now we're back to the main storyline with Jigsaw back. I don't know what is going
Oh, that's right.
on.
Isn't it like
Shawnee
a prequel
Smith
or
is
something?
back.
Jigsaw is definitely
Prequel because he's back.
Jigsaw is back in it.
Yeah, I saw a picture.
Tobin Bell is back.
Yeah.
I can't. Yeah, Jigsaw's back.
Yeah.
Tobin Bell's back. Shawnee Smith is back, who plays Amanda, who is.
Oh, I love
big-
Shawnee
she's
Smith.
like apprentice for a bit.
So
I
that's
forgot
the-
Shawnee Smith
directed
turns up
by
in
Kevin-
Armageddon.
Oh yeah, when she's really young. Kevin Grutert, who directed Saw 6 and Saw the final chapter, which the irony that the director of Saw the final chapter is now
Oh no,
directing
we're not done.
Saw 10.
The final chapter.
Yes,
What
so
do you think, guys? Is this going to secretly be a great film? Is this going to be our favorite horror of 2023? All
I
of a
don't know.
sudden,
Did you
it's
see
gonna
there was
come
a
out of
Twitter,
nowhere and just be like
Did
I
you see
don't
there was a
Mind
Twitter-
a
them.
Twitter fight between Ghostface and Jigsaw?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. How good's that? I like that sort of stuff.
Speaking
Oh.
of weird sequels,
Mm.
Pet Sematary 2,
Yeah.
a sequel to the remake that doesn't look like a remake of the original sequel.
I didn't. I
don't
actually
know.
didn't mind the remake. I only watched it late. Oh no, it would have been for our Halloween October month, and I didn't mind it. Was it amazing? No, but it was fun enough. But yeah,
Is that it's fun? Is that what we're calling the dead kid movie, where people have to suffer the trauma of losing their child only to bring them back as a zombie and then have to kill them again? Is that fun?
Fun.
Is that-
Have you seen the new one though?
How-
Have you
How's
seen
the
how
school
it
holidays
ends?
to go for you there, Cable?
Oh,
I
Fantastic.
no, I turned the remake off. If I'm being perfectly honest,
Okay.
I got like 40 minutes in. I was like, this is not a Gussie movie. It's not for me. I'm out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Look,
glad it's good. If it's good, I'm glad it's good.
Oh, look, I enjoyed it, but I probably hear what you're saying. Like when you got kids, you're probably certain subject matter doesn't hit you the right way that it may have when you were 21. So, yeah, the whole
Doesn't hit you like a truck mowing down a
Mm.
child.
Well, yeah,
Depends how much
exactly.
you like your kids, I guess.
Yeah.
A lot, enough to not
Oh,
watch.
I'm gonna throw out. I don't
the-
think it's coming out this year, but another random sequel, which I'm still gonna go run out and see. We Are the Millers got announced recently.
Is
Unless it
that
was a-
because Emma Roberts is in it?
I know, I liked it before that because Jennifer Aniston's in it too, and
Jennifer
Jason
Aniston.
Sudeikis as
Yeah,
well.
there we go.
But
Hmm.
I remember seeing that opening night Gold Class in 2013. So there's almost 10 years later they're going to bring out a sequel to that movie, and it feels weird to say 10 years later because it doesn't feel that long ago. But that was a big deal, and that trailer was a big deal. All those years ago, and it's like, oh, and Emma Roberts, yes, exactly. But it's like random.
Speaking
What a
of big deal,
random.
here's one to get excited about, Cable. This is one that'll be right up your alley. Paw Patrol: The Mighty Movie. We're getting a sequel to the Paw Patrol movie.
They've already had the
Hello.
Mighty Pups movie. Oh, they're
Yeah,
so
so
they're
the-
doing another sequel to
No,
an
so the-
actual film.
Look, let me tell you
Yeah.
about the friggin' Mighty Pups movie. All right, the Mighty Pups movie was billed as a Paw Patrol movie, so I took my kids who friggin' love Paw Patrol to the cinema to see it, and I paid the money to go to the cinema and see it, and it went for 42 minutes. It was just
Yeah.
a slightly longer episode. It wasn't a movie.
yeah, Yes.
It wasn't a movie, just a slightly longer episode.
Well, technically
and
for kids,
I
it's
was rageful.
Refund.
but my
This
kids,
one,
yeah,
the Mighty
is
Movie,
a
the plot
sequel
is
to the
a
actual
meteor
movie.
lands. But listen, this is the plot, and you'll appreciate this, Cable. The
It's
Mighty Movie
exactly-
will see a meteor land in Adventure City. The meteor grants superheroes powers to the adorable Kanani. That is what that 42-minute thing
Oh
was.
my!
They just
So
remade
they're
that.
rebooting their thing into a full format. Oh my god! My kids are going to go ballistic, and I want to buy the tower. We need the Mighty Pup
Yeah.
Tower.
Oh yeah,
We've got just the regular
had that
Pup Tower now.
conversation.
We need the Mighty Pup Tower.
Hey, you know who's going to be in this movie again? Who was also in the first one for no reason? Kim Kardashian. Not even as one of the Mighty Pups.
Liberty.
One scene
She
as
Liberty?
like a
No.
pup.
No,
she played one of the dogs in the pound. She had like 3 lines.
There's
They
probably
the dog's
something
name wasn't even
underlying
like
in
Kim Kardashian. The dog's name was like Sandy or something. It was so dumb. Oh,
there. You should be writing Paw Patrol movies.
I should. We should come up with.
Angus.
No, we should come. We
Speaking of,
should
like-
come up with our own kids show because I think we could do something good. And the amount of crap I see that kids watch these days, I'm like, oh my god, I could have come up with something better than that. And
The first episode of
Millionaires.
the first 5 minutes of my Paw Patrol movie would be an exact like shot for shot recreation of the opening of Pet Cemetery. Only instead of the kid getting mowed down, it's all the pups. All the pups get just absolutely skittled.
And then no one wants to go see a Paw Patrol movie ever again.
And then the parents, the owners of the dogs, are like, okay. And then they go inside and they live their lives. Speaking of sequels, you said like We're the Millers. That's a random one that we're getting a sequel to a decade later. Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget. We're getting a Chicken Run sequel this year. Remember
That's
Chicken
weird.
Run?
I love Chicken Run. Chicken Run's a very good movie.
Yeah, it's great.
But that was like 15 years ago.
Yeah, we're getting a sequel. And the sequel coming out this year, not like they announced this year. It's
Actually,
coming
that's
out in
probably more than
2023.
15 years. Probably
Yeah,
more than 15 years ago.
I think
Yeah,
so.
the original Chicken Run came out, I'm pretty sure,
it
when
20
I
years
was
ago?
in high school.
2002,
So, like,
2003.
30 years ago.
That was a very early Blu-ray. Not Blu-ray.
Did you say
DVD,
30? You think I graduated high school 30 years ago, Michelle? Is that what you
Yes.
said?
When you
You
were
think
eight. You're a genius.
When I was, I mean, all right, look, you saved
Yeah,
it.
Doogie Howser. He graduated when he was 12.
Saved it.
2000 Cable. So 20
Jesus.
Oh, 2000.
years
Shit.
between drinks.
I was graduating primary school.
Was Mel Gibson back? That's the big question.
Let's have a little look. No.
I
yep.
can tell you for a fact, some of the lines from that movie I still use to this day in normal conversation or just at and about.
Well, give us some.
Okay, hang on. Give me one. How would I use in the context?
All right, while you're thinking, I'll tell you some of the cast. Bella
No,
Ramsey, who's starring in The Last of Us at the moment. Thandie Newton, Zachary Levi, who is Shazam.
Yeah.
Nick Mohammed, who is Nate, the fucker on Ted Lasso. Imelda Staunton, who everyone loves. That's some of the people who are coming back. No Melly G at the moment, though. Drop us a line. What do you got, Cable?
I don't want to be a pie. I don't like gravy.
Worth it.
Yeah.
Worth it. Worth you stopping to think of it too.
It's the trailer for this episode.
That's it. That's all we're releasing. And look, that's pretty.
That's really random. That the fact that I didn't hear about that, but that's just. I know their stop motion takes a while to make, but that's just what are you doing?
Not that long.
Wallace and Gromit's a bit. Shaun the Sheep.
Well,
we'll go
this
back.
is something that will be interesting moving forward this year. We live in a post Top Gun Maverick world, and we have been shown. You know, last year the biggest film of the year was Top Gun Maverick, which had a huge time between drinks. This year, most likely, the biggest film of the year will be Avatar: The Way of Water.
Oh, I think you said Chicken Run.
Chicken Run.
A huge time between drinks. Well, I think what we're learning is like people are always so desperate for IP, and people are starting to get a little bit bored of superhero movies. So they're going back to the well, and we're getting Indiana Jones. We're getting we're getting another Kung Fu Panda, which I think has just been moved to 2024. We're getting what else do I just see? We're getting another Quiet Place, which has just been pushed to 2024. The prequel, Quiet Place Day One, got pushed back, sadly, but take your time, guys. We are having a lot more older films I mean, the rumor that we're getting a Beetlejuice sequel will not go away. And
I
Tim
know. I
Burton
thought I
is
sort of felt
on
like
board.
I thought that was coming out this year. Like I just had in my
It's
No.
been
head.
coming out this year for like 20 years.
Yeah, I hope it's true. Though.
The only thing that gives me hope is that finally, in the rumors, it stopped. The title has stopped being Beetlejuice in Hawaii, which is always like what Tim Burton wanted to do. He wanted to do a sequel with Beetlejuice in Hawaii. He thought that
Oh,
would
I
be
didn't see
hilarious.
that.
And so it's just always been like Beetlejuice in Hawaii, and now it's not. Now it's just like Beetlejuice 2 is what it's being talked about as. So
The other one I feel like's gathered momentum is Cloverfield. Feels like there's going to be a sequel to that or something along those lines.
yeah, well,
They're
they
gonna
tried to
add-
make that a weird franchise with Cloverfield, 10 Cloverfield Lane and Cloverfield Paradox, but Cloverfield Paradox wasn't good and it kind of killed it. 10 Cloverfield Lane, great, and definitely a future episode on this show because a very interesting and exciting idea for a sequel. We're getting Inside Out 2 next year. That's another one that's had a pretty big time between drinks.
Yeah,
Fucking
that's my kids
another
like that.
Karate Kid sequel, not a sequel to the Jane Smith remake that didn't actually feature karate. A Daniel LaRusso, Mr. Miyagi, not him, R.I.P. Pat Morega. But yeah, a Karate Kid sequel to the original series allegedly is coming out next year.
Well, how does that tie in with the show?
Let's have a
Or is
little
it just
look.
it's going to be an expansion or on top of the show?
Oh, I thought you meant this show.
Yeah, if he wants to be on the show, yeah.
Cobra Kai has no connection to the Big Screen Project. So, which is weird because it says it is the return of the original Karate Kid franchise. So, but we're going back to the start. Features all of the 80s characters in significant roles. Has no connection to Cobra Kai. So, kind of the movie version of what Cobra Kai did, it sounds like. All right. My interest is waning. A friggin' another Despicable Me is coming out next year.
I tell you what, they got to lift their game on those ones.
We're getting to rumor territory now. Mufasa, the Lion King, so a sequel to the live action one, but maybe a prequel because it's about Mufasa. And spoilers, but that motherfucker dead. Okay, here's my most excited maybe movie that currently is slated for 2024, but isn't actually technically definitely happening. Twister 2. Twister 2 is finally on the cards. If they pull this off, I will give them one of my children. I want this movie so badly.
But how do you do it without Bill Paxton?
Yes, I was watching it tonight. I was watching Twister tonight. So
is
this for the first time?
Yeah,
is this the first time.
Yep.
And
I'm not going to spoil it now. I'm not doing a review on Twister.
Your life is better now. That's what's now.
But yeah, I kind of feel like okay, I can understand Twister 2 because the technology and all that sort of stuff has expanded. There's so much more, they can do. But Bill Paxton's so important. I don't know. There's some movies I just think franchises. It's like you can replace people because it's the subject matter. It doesn't really necessarily matter about the people in the movie. It's more the threat or the thing that's happening. But I think with a movie like that, Bill Paxton's
put Bill Pullman in it, and then none of us will have any.
Or Jeff Daniels.
Exactly.
I hope that in the story for Twisters, Bill Paxton's character was taken by a Twister. And then it turns out that he has become one with the Twister and he is the Twister in the sequel. And every time they get close, you just see a CG Bill Paxton in the Twister. Like, hey guys, how's it going?
Game over, man. Game over.
Allegedly, the film is going to focus on the relationship between Helen Hunt's character and her daughter, who she shares with Bill Paxton's character. And I guess
some flying cows
going to hunt Twisters to seek vengeance. It'd be great if there was a scene of the daughter just firing a shotgun into a Twister and like, "You killed my pa!" I want this movie to be directed by David Gordon Green. I want every sequel to be directed by David Gordon Green now. That's what I want.
So it's a bit
and just call it Twister.
It's going to be like Jaws of Revenge, yeah? This is like this shark just coming after and vice versa.
Yeah, the daughter is going to have a psychic link with the Twister. She's just going to wake up in the night and like, "Ma, it's coming." A film that is actually happening, but has been pushed to 2024 as well, but still early hype because it's probably going to be my most hype movie of 2024. Joker Folie à Deux, which is a sequel to Joker and also a musical, which also stars Lady Gaga, which just sounds marvelous.
Oh, is that where she's playing Harley Quinn?
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Give me give me all of it, give me every one of it, and that's we're really like starting to trickle down into maybe pushback, who knows territory now. So I think we've covered all the big movies.
I think we have.
Year. A lot of them you're going to be hearing about in some capacity on sequel.
Yeah, I think we just off the top of our head, we're
exciting.
definitely going to be hearing about Indiana Jones, Evil Dead Rise. Obviously, that's one of your going to be
Mission
one of your
Impossible,
choices.
Dead Reckoning.
Mission
Michelle's eyes are
Impossible.
glazing over. You've got so much work to do, Michelle. You have so many.
We're definitely going to hear about Scream 6. That'll be a.
We're gonna work the
Michelle
Barbie
choice.
movie into a sequel because that's the one I'm looking for.
Well, the Barbie movie is an interesting one because it's not a sequel, but it's kind of a reboot or a remake, I guess. Because
they've made like 20 friggin' animated Barbie movies.
there's
so we
so
can
many
work
Barbie
it in.
movies, but like the Barbie animated universe is vast, Cable. It is vast,
We
and
can
we're
talk
just
about it.
transitioning mediums. Like that's all we're doing here.
The first live action
It's very, very
Barbie
loose.
movie.
There's very.
That's fine.
There's straws being grasped.
Maybe we won't do a Barbie episode, but you're probably going to hear Michelle and I just talk about Barbie in the background of other episodes because we're both very excited for it. But that's what's coming up in 2023. You're going to be hearing about a lot of those on Sequels Suck. In addition to some deep dives, we're probably going to do like 9 episodes on Exorcist 3 now because I'm going to make you guys watch that goddamn movie and then just talk about it. But how are you feeling about the year in sequels? Are you guys excited for what's coming out? Are you interested to see what happens to sequels this year, given that movies made a lot less money this year than last year than everyone wanted them to? Do we?
Michelle?
I'm excited.
None of us were keen for Top Gun
6.
Maverick. I just want to remind you of that none of us were particularly keen on Top Gun Maverick.
True.
Excuse me?
No.
I mean, was it on your list of like must sees? Going to be amazing. Can't wait. I'm
Go
chomping
back
at the bit.
on social media. It's timestamped. Cable's movie of 2022 was Top Gun Maverick for Chatflix that I was looking forward to. So I was.
No, I'm not. I'm looking forward to. Okay.
Yes. I was 100% locked in.
2/3 of the people on this show were not excited for Top Gun Maverick. I'm just going to say that. So is
now
there
they
anything
won't
that-
stop talking about it.
You know, it's
Is there
funny because
anything
I feel
good?
like I'd seen it twice before you'd even seen it the first time.
But
so.
you didn't
but
mention
say
it.
anything.
You didn't say
You
you
didn't say
guys
a
must
word.
go see it.
I watched it and I hadn't even left the cinema before I was in the chat group being like, "We're doing it tomorrow. Everyone go see this fucking movie."
I'm a certain beast with certain tastes, and it's like, well, no one else mentioned it. I was like, well, I'm not gonna tell you to go run out and see it because I'm like, maybe that's just me and my nostalgic brain loved it, but it's not everyone else's cup of tea.
Well,
Yeah, see,
Who
I don't
would have
feel like
thought?
that. If I
Who
like it, I'm
would
just
have
going to make you
thought
watch
Michelle
it. I'm an only child.
what do you
I'm
mean?
gonna
Who would have
force
thought
you.
Michelle would love it?
Mm.
You
That's
only have to
true.
Go for the freaking. I can't talk about the beach scene anymore. It's just getting ridiculous at this point.
I don't understand how you're not pumped for Magic Mike Last Dance. Then it's all beach scene. That's all it is.
I'm not a Channing Tatum.
Oh, how funny! If Glenn Powell was in it, Michelle would have already known about it and been pushing for it.
Yeah,
So.
Angus would already have tickets.
Yeah, probably. I'm going to throw out there. I think Transformers: Rise of the Beasts is going to be our Top Gun Maverick this year. I think we're going to see it, and we're going to be like,
You've heard it here first.
Rise of the Beast, yes. I'm going to champion this movie so much on the show this year. June 9th cannot come fast enough. It just looks like peak stupidity.
So how many have I got to watch
Um,
before that? 5 other Transformers?
Like 6, I think, at this point, if you include
Okay.
Bumblebee, isn't it? There's
that
like
is 6.
there's a universe. Yeah. But that's 2023. That's what's coming down the pipe. And I think we're all-
we
we're all feeling
actually
good.
missed one.
Oh my god, really?
There's
What do you
actually
miss?
a Ninja Turtles movie coming.
Is there really?
There's
Oh,
an
yeah, I saw that.
animated Ninja Turtles movie coming
Yeah.
out. It's funny because
Oh,
there
now
has
this
been
is
some
wild because
Ninja
this is the
Turtles
Seth
fans
Rogen one.
as well.
I would have been excited if it was the trilogy to the Michael Bay one, but it's not. So I just don't care.
Well, this is weird because we got an animated Ninja Turtles movie that was kind of not quite for kids already this year on Netflix. The Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movie, which I guess it's kind of for teens. I didn't know that when me and my 3-year-old sat down to put it on. It's sort of not for little kids. But the one that is coming out this year is I don't know if it's directed by, but it is like co-written and produced and curated by Seth Rogen. And he has said that this film focuses very heavily on the teenage part of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which makes me think we're going to get a pretty full-on
Yeah, super bad type. Yeah.
But I'm glad you brought that up because I'm excited for it. I'm very, very excited for it.
I sort of
and
heard
we're
that too,
gonna
and
do a
then
whole bunch of turtle content in the lead
After
up to that.
things you said to me about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles being teenagers, I don't think I can go see that one.
Oh, do you want to talk on the pod about the group chat and about
can
how
wait for
you're
that.
attracted to one of the characters in the
Oh,
Turtles
well,
universe? Let's not say
think-
which one.
I think we can wait for that episode.
Yeah,
No
I think we can
spoilers.
wait.
But there's
Coming
going to be a
soon.
lot of turtle content.
Yes, we're working on it.
Turtle
We're
content.
working on it.
Yeah.
It's not the
I've
red
gone
one.
back. I think not to go down the Ninja Turtles rabbit hole, but going back, Michelle did throw out in the group talking about the Michael Bay ones, and it was like I had just sort of gone back to the originals, and I think the second one, The Secret of the Ooze, is really worthwhile talking about in comparison to the first one because very similar to Scream 2, it was churned out really quick within that 12-month time frame, and they did take a lot of the feedback from parents from the first one being maybe violent. There was a way they sort of went, and they sort of went a bit more family friendly, a bit more like the cartoons. So it was a different tone. But yeah, then it's a weird franchise because it's a franchise they tried to capitalize on early, think it was going to burn out quickly, and it kind of did. But it's been reinvented every 5, 6, 7 years, and it's still going.
Why do
Yeah,
I
that's-
foresee a lot of Secret of the Ooze references when we talk about the Michael Bay one?
Because you have a filthy mind. That's why.
You have a filthy mind.
Fair enough. Is it the last one? Did we get him? Is that
I think we
2023
got him.
sequels?
I think we got him.
Then we got a big year ahead of us, friends. This is gonna be a
Start
fun,
marking that calendar.
a fun year in movies. Look, I'll be honest. For a year in sequels, there's not a lot on that list that I'm like, ugh. Like most of it, I'm like, all right, cool, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll see that. Maybe not all of them in theaters, but like I'll see most
Yes.
of them. There's a few that I'll wait for stream, but I'll definitely be in theaters for a lot of these. So I think sequels are looking good this year. I'm kind of pumped. I think we're gonna have a good year. That's what's happening. But what about what was? Is this gonna balance out against 2022 and the year that was in cinema? Because Michelle and I got to get together and talk a bit about some of our faves, but we missed you there, Cable, and we didn't get to talk a great deal about what sequels were.
Sonic the
in
Hedgehog
2022.
2 was the greatest sequel after Top Gun Maverick, and I am disappointed that it wasn't pushed forward. No, it's all good. No, I think in ranking the sequels from last year, it was really fun to go back and listen to what you guys talked about. Boy, there was a lot of sequels in 2022, and what I did find hard, at least from my point of view, was following. It was great, Angus. You had a lot of information. You obviously saw a lot of these sequels, but for me, a lot of the sequels I hadn't seen because I hadn't maybe seen the rest of the franchise or whatever. So it's like I'm not one that will go and watch Confess Fletch because I hadn't seen the second one. I don't think, or I'd seen the first one. I hadn't seen the second, and it's like but it's definitely something I want to see now. The way that you sort of pumped it up, but then that's the same for a lot of those other sequels. It's like I'm not a fan of the franchise, so I was like, why would I go and see that just randomly? But there was some. Unfortunately, probably just after you recorded, Jackass, Forever, and a couple of the other ones I was able to catch up on. But yeah, there was a lot of sequels that came out, and there's some really good ones. But yeah, Top Gun by far and away was the best. Didn't even have to be a sequel. It was probably the best movie of the year that I enjoyed. So.
Yeah, I think so.
But like I said, I think, again, Sonic, I don't know, there's something about it. It's just a good, fun family movie, and it's not overcomplicated. And it's one of those ones where there has been a great history of failed video game to movie sort of things that have happened over the years. And I think they've nailed Sonic. They've somehow nailed it. They haven't put too much in. And then they've just opened the door for the third one. And, every 5 minutes I get asked when's Sonic 3 coming out. So
2024. Coming out 2024.
So I'll try and put that on a calendar for Levi. So it's been a good sequel. Good year for sequels, but there's definitely a few more I probably need to check out. But I'm more excited for the year coming up. I think there's more sequels on the slate that I'm, in my wheelhouse and in my sort of, like I said, Scream, Indie, Mission Impossible, Evil Dead. There's a lot more stuff that I'm more into that is more conducive to me actually watching it.
The one thing we
Yeah,
forgot to talk about with Top Gun Maverick, which we've talked about a lot, was the thing we forgot that Aaron Kruger helped to write that movie, famous for writing Scream
That
3.
was one we did talk about in the chat a lot.
Mhm.
That we got frustrated ourselves about. I talking about like what 2022 looked like and what 2023 is going to look like, and I think a big change. Just looking at like the top, I'll just do like, I'll do the top 20 grossing films worldwide of 2022. And you'll notice pretty quickly that something consistently happens. Going from 20 to 1 was so Fantastic Beasts: Secrets of Dumbledore. We got ourselves a sequel off the bat. The Bad Guys, adaptation of a book. Bullet Train, adaptation of a book. The Lost City, an original. Weirdly, Smile, an original. Lightyear, a spin-off from Toy Story. Nope, an original. Uncharted, video game adaptation. Elvis biopic. Black Adam, comic book adaptation. Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Spider-Man: No Way Home. Thor: Love and Thunder. This is we're in the top 8 now. The Batman, Minions: Rise of Gru, Jurassic World Dominion, Avatar: The Way of Water, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, Top Gun Maverick.
That's
So
like 12 out of 20 movies
that are sequels.
Mm.
Yeah, and the ones that aren't are usually adaptations, and the rare. I mean, we can say Elvis is an original story, I guess, but it's based on a real person's life.
Biography, yeah.
Nope and Smile are the only two things in the top 20 grossing films that are actually original stories, not adapted from a book, comic book, and very, very big outliers, not sequels to other things. But the sequels, the top 10, these are sequels to old properties.
Mhm.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2. We've had Sonic games for a long time. Spider-Man, Thor, The Batman, Minions, Jurassic Park, or Jurassic World, Avatar, Doctor Strange. Like all of the ones that gross, the ones that have been around forever in some form, be it comic book, film, TV. It's nothing. None of the sequels are recent in their ideas. It's not like we're getting a I don't know, a Get Out 2, and it's a sequel to a recent smash. Like everything is so ingrained.
But even
I
when
don't
you
see
think
that happening so much in this year.
yeah, but even when you think about Scream 5, that made big bank for what they were kind of expecting again, and that's a franchise that hadn't been touched since 2010, and even then, like, that was a bit of a fizzer. So you could almost say, if you're going off just the first trilogy and focusing on that, like you're looking at 2000, you're looking at 22 years or 20, 21 years.
Scream 5, the 25th highest grossing film of last year.
Yeah.
Halloween Ends, the 30th highest grossing film of the year. Like, even the ones that didn't come in the top 20, when you start tracking down, like still films that have been around forever.
Yeah.
Like most of the top 100 films are sequels to long standing properties, not anything really new. And I think maybe the exciting thing about 2023, looking back at 2022, is the floodgates have been opened a bit by Top Gun Maverick, of like you can go deep into old properties that don't have any sequels and make a sequel that is not a reboot or a remake. It continues on that story. But also, we kind of did all the sequels last year. Like there's no more like huge properties that are currently ongoing to make sequels to. Jurassic World has wrapped itself up. They said that they're done. Minions. Right.
But aren't they doing a spin-off of Locust now? Or?
Yeah, so I was thinking it's so good. Jurassic Locusts.
Oh God! Right.
I did laugh when you guys started talking about that, because I'd only recently seen Dominion, and it was like, it was. I understand why they kind of went there, but it was kind of like, oh, really? You kind of pick your lane, stay in it. I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of the big franchises that have been around for a while, they're wrapping up, or we've done it, or if we are going to get another one, it's going to be a couple of years. Like we don't have one coming out next year. We don't have a ton of Marvel movies coming out this year. We don't have a ton of DC movies, not compared to previous years. So I think we can look back at 2022 and be like, oh, that was a year that we really like ticked a lot of shit off. You know,
Mm.
we're getting it. You know, we're getting a Saw 10, we're getting a Fast 10 this year, but you know, we saw it happen. We also saw that this shit makes money.
Mm.
So whenever people ask, "Hey, why are you guys doing a podcast all about sequels, and why are sequels around so much?" The top 10 highest grossing movies in the world last year were all sequels, with the notable exception of The Batman.
Well, there we have it, fans. We have lost Angus due to technical difficulties. He's not even camping, and we've lost him.
Technical
So it was a pretty good summation of what we've got coming up in 2023. Angus did his homework very well on what sequels are coming up. Just to recap, Michelle, we know Scream 6 is your most anticipated film of the year.
Mhm.
What else, apart from that, are you looking forward to, sequel-wise?
Scream 6, I think, is all I'm looking forward to.
Wow. Okay. Obviously Scream 6 for me. Indiana Jones, Mission Impossible are probably the three I'm looking forward to the most. But yeah, it's going to be a big year in sequels. Last year was pretty big.
Mhm.
Though you and I didn't watch too many of those films. I reckon I'm lucky
No.
to watch 12 of them.
I think I watched
There
about
were
7.
some I didn't even know existed, and some were to franchise I'm not a fan of or hadn't seen fully. I'm a bit of a completist, so I have to watch all the films, regardless whether they fit in the timeline or not, before I watch a certain film. So, but on that note, just remember, not all sequels suck.
Cue the Swing by Everclear.
Never said I was